thank you so much for being here to the very first St. Louis low-code, no-code automators meetup. And thank you again to Jerry at Toki for having us. All right, I'm trying to not to put on my presenter voice. I realize I'm putting on my presenter voice. Okay, so yeah, this is just a very casual discussion going through an intro to Zapier, and I'm going to use my case study of building a smart contact form kind of to show you some of the product in motion, So I'm a Gold Solution Partner for Zapier, and I've been using it for 5 years. I'm also a small business owner, and I started using Zapier because I wanted to automate some of the things in my own small business that were kind of holding me back and doing a lot of manual, needing a lot of my time and energy to do a bunch of manual tasks. All right. Start with a product walkthrough. And I like to keep these slides pretty minimal and just do really kind of an interactive walkthrough. So please feel free to interrupt at any time if you would like to ask any questions. So this is kind of one of the main dashboards at Zapier. So Zapier has 6 main product lines. The original one is Zaps. So if you think of Zapier, if you're familiar with it, you're probably going to think of Zaps, which are just automated workflows. You can connect 8,000 different apps with Zaps and then do sort of if then this happens steps. And you can do a lot of really cool things. That's kind of how they got started as a company. And then they also have tables, it's very similar to Airtable, but it's just a very clean, lean database that I've started using a lot. Like anytime I need to save any kind of information in a structured format, I always use Zapier tables. And forms. So forms are smart forms. In the walkthrough, I'm going to talk about the forms. I'm going to show you an example that I made. And then I also have chatbots, which is effectively just a custom GPT. You can set custom rules, have knowledge tables and knowledge sources to answer things like frequently asked questions, or something I set up was a survey for my own clients that I send to them and asks them a series of questions, and then it gives me a summary. And then canvases is kind of a way to pull all of this stuff together, and it's a high-level view of showing full systems and connections between Zaps, tables, forms, and so on. So if you have a really big project, you might have multiple Zaps running together, referencing different tables, referencing different forms. And so Canvas is a good way of visualizing that and kind of pre-planning. And then, of course, if you're working with a client or if you're working with multiple people on a team, they can reference that canvas and see kind of the whole process as it works together. And then finally, agents is their most recent update. Agents are AI agents that can go do tasks for you. There is a lot of overlap with the use case of Zaps versus agents. I think the most powerful part of agents that I've found is being able to search Google and search the internet. So typically, I've been using Zapier for the last 5 years, so I'm very used to just building with Zaps. But you can tell an agent effectively everything you want to do that a Zap could do. And as I use, yes, Troy.
Can agents build Zaps?
They can't, but they do have a co-pilot. So it's their co-pilot where you just type in what you want and it builds it for you. I will say it's not been perfect, especially if you're trying to build more complicated Zaps.
And then,
Yeah.
so with like agents and apps, is it like more efficient overall to like create a Zap if you're doing something like a bunch of times, so that way the agent doesn't have to do like all the AI thinking and
Yes.
computing?
Over every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So here, I'll just open agents real quick.
Can you have agents inside of Zaps?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I use them for.
Oh, yes.
So like I use them for very small tasks.
Yeah.
So if we create a new agent, yeah, so here's the co-pilot. So let's just think of something that you can have an agent do. So yeah, Jerry, do you have?
I don't know, figure out,
What about like estimate the amount of work, estimate the number of work hours in a project, something like that, based on?
that would be more complicated than he wants to do in this. I was thinking something that's more like, find the nearest, FedEx,
Oh yeah,
location that's open right now.
Yeah.
open right now, given a zip code.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this is a good demo of their co-pilot. Let's see what it does.
Cool.
Yeah, so I believe they're tapped into OpenAI's API.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it said also that's right. So it has you set the trigger, which is either on demand, scheduled, or via Zap. So also okay, so
You do like a form.
yeah. Yeah, so you could do a form. Also, what information would you like in the result? Let's just do, for the sake of example, manually triggered. And then we want, let's just say we want address.
So while it's doing that, does Zapier have a MCP that you can use for
Yes.
Claude Code?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, so they do have an MCP you can use with Claude Code, OpenClaw, ChatGPT, several others. Workflow is ready to use. Okay, so add a trigger to start the agent. So yeah, you can have different triggers. So let's just put on demand for this one. On demand. When triggered, prompt the user to provide a zip code, search the web for nearest FedEx location open now, extract the address of the nearest open FedEx location, and then return the address to the user. Okay. And then to test this, let's do agent preview. And then, yeah, I understand, right? Finding the nearest. Okay, so we're at 3103. Okay, so yeah, you can see it's searching Google. All right, so there you go. So this is, it's very close to what Claude or ChatGPT would do for you.
Right, but the power of this and the way I've used it is wiring it into a workflow that has
Yes,
other steps.
exactly.
There's certain elements where an AI is going to do a better job. So
Yes.
I use N8N, but it's the same concept. That's almost all the same stuff.
Yeah, Low-Code group, not Zapier group, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes,
And
we are brand agnostic.
yeah, so I created one for expense reporting. Like I hate reporting expenses. So, and a lot of what I get is emails, right? So I buy some service like Zapier or whatever, send you an email every month. I need to turn in a receipt for that. So I basically set up an email address, expenses at, I forward it to it, and then the N8N workflow grabs that email, it's watching the inbox for that email address. And when an email hits it that has certain criteria, it triggers a workflow. And most of that workflow is very deterministic, do this, do this, do this. But I need to assign it to an expense category.
Right.
So I have an agent that reads the contents of the attachments or the body of the email, and from a list of categories that it pulls every time out of the database, it determines which of these categories is the best match for this.
Right.
And assigns
Yep.
it to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a prompt that does that, because that's not something that a Zap or deterministic workflow
Yes.
can do.
Exactly. Yeah. It's using context
Right.
to determine.
Right. Different though from me just creating, because I could also I don't know, set up Claude to in Cowork or something, go, here's an email, file the expenses. And it could with the MCP for
Right.
Airtable and this, that, and the other thing, but this is less expensive from a token perspective.
Mhm.
And it's very repeatable, right?
Yep.
There's very few things in it that are not exactly what I intended them to be.
Right. And then, yeah, and with, I'm sure with, well, no, that's right. With N8N and Zapier, you can go through and look at the history.
Oh, right,
If
yes.
anything goes wrong,
Yep.
you can look at what errored
Yep.
and why it errored and at which step.
Yep.
So, yeah, so truly, the way I use these agents really is just if I need to search the web, because Zapier, or you can use different steps. If you do something that is like categorizing, you can use like an OpenAI step, or like Zapier has their own. It's called AI by Zapier step, and I'll show you that in the walkthrough that I do with the smart contact form. But yes, exactly. So you can see, okay, it gave these step-by-step instructions. I mean, yeah, there's nothing really in here that's that deterministic. But if you were to add this into a Zap, you could do, let's say you have a workflow that you're mailing packages on a daily or weekly basis or something. Maybe they're coming from different locations. Maybe your Zap would find from your database the zip code for that package. And so then you would you would have this particular agent connected into your Zapier workflow. It would call the agent, and the agent could respond with the address.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, once again, just these agents are really great for, this is my opinion, but they're great for just small specific tasks and not giving them huge long workflows to do. All right. Any more questions on agents? Okay, cool. Okay. Yes. So yes, they also have MCP servers,
What is MCP stand?
which are pretty new.
Model context protocol.
Thank you. I didn't know that. Model context protocol.
Would you like to explain what that is?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
so are you familiar with an API? So you kind of have
Yeah.
to start there. So an API is an application programming
Interface.
interface.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's just a set of rules for how you can interact with an online tool of some kind. You send it a query in a certain format, with certain information, and it's going to return something to you in a specific format. And that's how historically we've interacted with database tools or your bank or whatever. So MCPs basically abstract that in a way that an AI can interact with. So now instead of having to tell Claude or ChatGPT or whatever that this is the API and how it's supposed to be structured, and you have to go and do all of that legwork, they basically put all this information into the MCP, and you just give that information to the AI, and now when the AI is going to do something with Airtable or Gmail or what have you, it just sends the query, it queries the MCP and says, how do I do this?
Right.
And it returns all the information that it needs in order to do the thing. That's basically it. But what's nice is, for stuff like this, so there's what, 8,000 different
Apps.
apps
Mhm, yeah.
that Zapier can interact with.
Yes.
In N8N, we call, there's nodes, there's thousands of nodes
Mhm.
that you can have. And knowing what all of them do and how you're supposed to, interact with them is painful. And then all the things to actually interact with Zapier and N8N or what have you. So the MCP basically just becomes this sort of like Wikipedia for Claude,
Yeah.
ChatGPT, to go and say, hey, how do I do this?
Yep.
And then it does it. So it exposes all the possible tools and nodes, what have you, that's available, so that you can say something like, I need to do X, and I have this, and I want this to be the outcome. What's the best solution? And it can say, well, there's this node we can use that does this and does that, and then know how to actually implement it.
Yeah, and I have actually not dived into this yet, but I really haven't had a reason to quite yet, just because I'm so well versed in building building Zaps. But if I were to work with a client who was trying to set up something similar to this, I probably would point them to, building an MCP server or using their MCP server. And from my understanding, I think if you're like a larger company, your IT team can set different rules based off of what the MCP servers can and can't do with the specific apps.
Well, even in your case, I mean, you have 5 years of experience using this and know it inside and out. But the reason I would encourage you to really think about, using an MCP with Zapier and your AI choice, is just how much faster it can build it. And you know where the blind spots are. Right? So you could be even faster than I could be at it, because I'm going to do it with this connection and this node.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So this is what I want you to set up. Go set it up.
Yeah.
I've never done it in Zapier, but I know in N8N, because it's connected with it and because the entire workflow is JSON. So it's literally just a text file.
Yeah.
So it's easy, it's really easy for it to manipulate it. And I tell it what I want it to do. Usually, like I do, what's the minimally viable version of this, and then add to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much faster than building it by hand.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Zapier's MCP server allows that. I think their Copilot is the answer to that. Because I know you can use
Copilot too, but it's not as good at doing it as Claude is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll have to experiment with that,
And
because
there's also, and maybe this exists for Zapier too, but there's actually a third-party MCP for N8N.
Oh, okay.
That has even more information than what N8N actually makes available.
Oh, wow.
Well, I think you can download it, or it's not like a download, but like MCPs are portable.
Yes.
So like there's marketplaces
Yes.
for them where you can
Access them.
purchase access
Yeah.
or whatever, and you would use it here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is pretty new stuff to me too. Like, as you can see, I haven't dived into MCP servers and okay. Yeah, all great thoughts. Let's see.
We're keeping you from the demo.
No, you're fine. But so that's the basic overview of Zapier and their product offerings. And then, over here you can, add more apps. And then, as we were talking about earlier, you can look through the Zap history, but those are kind of secondary. Okay. So let's do a quick demo. Okay. So I feel like the large majority of companies have contact forms on their website, but a lot of the times they don't get you don't get a response if you message these companies.
Mhm.
I actually did some research, and it turns out statistically 43% of contact form submissions never get a response, which is kind of crazy to me. Like, you're getting, like, that is a hot lead, depending. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
spam, but for the most part, if you have CAPTCHA on and you could be paying thousands of dollars in SEO, marketing, advertising, just to ignore 43% of actual messages from your website. And so for this example, I tried to think of an interesting Zapier workflow that could help solve some of these issues. First of all, I think it is really good form to send a confirmation email that the message was received, just because it looks professional, and it also helps people feel like maybe some slight relief, or that their message was acknowledged if they receive an email. But yeah, let's just dive into it. Okay, so if you were to set this up, I'd recommend, of course, Zapier, but you can use your automation platform of choice. Whenever you're setting up a Zapier plan, I recommend just starting with the lowest tier possible. You can't really get very far with a free tier. A free Zapier plan only gives you one-step zaps. So it'd be like, if this happens, then only this happens. So yeah, start with their lowest tier is 750 tasks, and then upgrade as you increase your task usage. You're not going to blow out that many tasks in a couple days. So okay, and then you'll need an email service, a cloud document service, and a messaging service wherever you prefer to receive notifications internally. So whether that's Slack, Telegram, email, etc. Okay. So first, I'm going to walk you through the form that I built.
Slick.
Thanks. Yeah, as you can see, I'm pretty minimal with my slides. Okay, so this is the Zapier Forms Builder. You can see here, you can create different fields. I think everybody's probably built with Google Forms and that, any different kind of form builder. So it's mainly the same process. But what, you can set, required reference IDs for later on in the process. And something that's interesting is you can set hidden fields. So and then with these reference IDs, you can use URL parameters. So something you could have is like maybe a client feedback form where you send the client the link, and then in the URL parameter is the client's ID or their name. And so, but they don't see that on the form, and it's hidden, so that when they submit the form, then it gets attributed to that client. Okay. And then you can also have conditional logic. So I just elected, if somebody says their reason for contacting is partnerships, then conditionally render company. So only if they select reason for contacting as partnerships, then that company field will pop up. Okay. And you can set, a notification, form submitted, and then connect to Zap. All right. I think that's very straightforward. Does anybody have any questions?
I just have a question about the options of automations. Jerry was talking about like Telegram. Are there integrations for, I guess SMS probably can't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it can?
Yeah. So they have Zapier has an SMS app.
Okay.
You just opt in to receive messages from it. And then, if you needed to send a message, do you mean for internal notifications or sending to an external recipient?
Yeah, I mean, from the perspective of the Zap, it doesn't matter. But I would think like, for instance, as part of that, I would also want to like send me a text like, hey,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Yep. It's called, I think their app is just called SMS by
But
Zapier.
they have SMS, okay.
Yep.
There's also third parties out there, so there's Twilio
Mhm.
and Resend, I think is another one. That
Yeah.
does email and text messaging.
Right. And Zapier's SMS app, they use Twilio. I can't remember exactly if you need to integrate it or if they just give you a certain amount of usage.
Yeah,
But yeah, their backend for that is Twilio.
yeah, they're kind of the gold standard, I think, for
Mhm.
that for the most part. But Resend is pretty good as well.
Yeah. Okay. And you can make more pages. You can add pages, and then with buttons to go between the pages or navigation, things like that. But for the purpose of this, I don't think going through the form is really that valuable. Okay. All right, so I'll walk you through the Zap here. So whenever there's a new inquiry, I like to reformat names whenever I get them. So some people put all lowercase or all uppercase or some weird formatting. So I just like to put a couple formatting steps in there just to standardize how all the names are coming in. So here I set it to title case.
Mhm.
So first letter will be capitalized, the rest will be lowercase. And if you haven't built with Zapier before, every step has a setup step. So then you can select or change the app that you're using. And then action event. And then configure. And then you can test. Okay. So these two are identical. And then same with email. Using lowercase. Again, some people put in weird formatting for their email. This is where it starts to get interesting. So I think one of the issues with contact forms is you are going to get some spam, and hopefully not a ton of spam, but it can happen. So we can use AI to read the message and determine if it thinks that it's spam. And then you can also set, confidence levels. You can tell it, okay, if you're 70% confident that it's spam, go ahead and label it as spam. And then under 70%, don't label it as spam. For this sake of an example, I just kept it pretty simple. And by the way, I have a video that walks through this whole thing. So if you guys want to go through that after the on your own time with the presentation, it includes all the prompts and all that. Okay. And then it's nice because you can select the model. They
Is
give
that
you
an extra cost to run it through AI?
they give you a couple of models for free. But then if you want to use a better or different model, then you do have to connect it and
So
use your own
are
tokens.
you setting up your own API key and being built separately?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I want to use the latest, ChatGPT 5.4,
Mhm.
I go to OpenAI, create an API key,
Yep.
and put it into the settings.
Yes. I'm 95% sure that's how it works. I haven't done it before. Just their free model has worked well enough for me that I just leave it that way.
Are you finding that it's pretty good at classifying whether it's spam or not?
Oh yeah.
And what if it classifies it as spam? What is it doing with the message?
That'll go here. Let's see.
Or, I mean, it has the rest of the.
Oh, you're going to answer that question.
Yeah, I'll answer it in just a second. So we're checking for spam. And then another, this is semi-optional, but it does happen. People will misspell their email, especially like Gnail or gmail.con. Just those small misspellings. You can use AI to check for those. Like you could theoretically use a lookup table, but there are just so many different options that people could misspell the common email providers that it's really best just to use an AI step. I should add that Zapier's task usage, you don't, any of these formatting steps, kind of the native Zapier apps that aren't referencing an external API, they don't count towards your tasks. And that was the 750 tasks that I mentioned earlier for beginner plan. But steps like AI by Zapier, that'll use one task per usage.
Does it show you, is there a way to see that, like in what we're looking at?
No, actually. That is a good point. That would be nice to be able to see. But yeah, it's just the
Just gonna have to
general.
know it ahead of time.
Yeah. Just the general rule of thumb is if you're using, well, any app outside of Zapier is always going to count toward your task usage. And then there are a few built-in Zapier apps that if they're using an external API like AI, or I think also the SMS does that too. I can't remember exactly.
Basically, they're paying somebody else, so you're paying them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an interesting difference between Zapier and N8N.
Oh, really?
N8N charges you for the workflow.
Really?
There's one charge for the workflow.
Wow.
But they don't have a built-in SMS or a built-in AI. It's bring your own API.
Okay.
For that stuff.
I see.
So, and if your node is referencing anything that has a cost, you're bringing your own. for
Sure.
that.
Yeah, of
But
course.
otherwise, if the workflow fires, then you get charged for it, even if it
Oh,
doesn't go all the
interesting.
way to the end.
Wow. That's
So-
interesting. I
So
didn't
you're
realize
paying the
that.
same amount, even if it ends at the first node.
Yeah.
Right? But you can have 75 nodes in that workflow, and it's still the same cost.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Could one of the nodes be a Zapier? Could you trigger a Zapier workflow on it?
I think you
Yes.
can.
The way you would not, I
Well,
don't think
a
you
web-
can do it natively.
Yeah, but a
But you
webhook.
would do it through a webhook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that about N8N's pricing.
Yeah. It's
Um,
a different pricing model.
Yeah, because you could
I
build
don't know if
unlimited
one's better.
zaps in
I don't
Zapier.
know if one's better than the other, but it just is how it is.
Sure.
When you
Yeah.
trigger a Zap with a webhook, does it still count like it? Well, it would be within this environment, so it would still, if it's all native Zap.
Yeah, the trigger step doesn't count towards but if you send a webhook after the trigger step, then that also counts toward your tasks. Okay, so we're moving on here. So we're finding or adding the contact message. So I'm using Zapier tables to track all the contact messages. And in order to deduplicate, deduplicate, lost my train of thought there. In order to deduplicate contacts, not messages, then we're going to find or create based off of the email address.
Yeah.
So that if they're already in that list, they don't get added twice.
So are you maintaining a table for contacts and then a table for messages?
The messages would be in the same table, but the message will be added in a large text field, and then it'll add on to that field later on. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, we're adding them to the table, and I can show you what that looks like here. Okay. So yeah, this is Zapier tables. I think it looks super clean and slick. And then we're adding the message. So you can see here, it's referencing the message that was just sent plus the message if it was found in the existing contact record. And if it wasn't found, that's just going to be blank. So it'll be the timestamp plus that message. Okay. And all right, so we have a couple of paths here. So the spam path, this is if AI found that the spam was true. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to delay for 1 week, then check the record, and we're going to look up the record ID and if the spam was exactly true. So it's looking for a record with the same record ID and spam is true. The idea there is if within that week you look in the table and you decide, oh, that's not spam, you can just change the status and it's not going to find it. And if it does find it after 1 week, then I just have it delete the record just to clean it up.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Did you build this from a template or did you build this yourself?
I built it myself. Thanks. Okay. All right. So yeah, these rules are if spam is true. We could do a path that just says spam is false, but Zapier has these different path rules. You could do a custom rule where it's false, but fallback just means that these conditions were not met. So if it's not true, then it's going to be false every time. So fallback. All right, so I'm using a lookup table here where it's going to add some customization to the email depending on why they reached out. So, I just have it say for partnerships, it adds, we love partnering with amazing companies, employment, we love working with amazing people, and so on. And then if it's none of those, then the fallback value is we'd love to serve you. And then we're going to send an email. And again, this email is sent automatically when they submit the form. And I'm just using Gmail. And, it's using that email that the AI spit out, checking for any missed corrections. Sending with HTML. You can do stuff like add your signature. Okay. And then we're going to write a draft, use AI to write a draft based off of what the message is. And then we're going to draft a reply. And we're replying to the email that was just sent. And then sending an internal notification. So for this one, I just have it send an email. And then this email is going to be the name with where it's linked to the contact record. And I'm realizing now this actually, I'm not sure what I was doing here, but that actually needs to be a variable. Okay, so it'll be a hyperlink to the name and what they said, and then the location of the draft reply in your email. So you can, customize that however you want. You could also send that as a, SMS, Telegram message, Slack message. But really, I think it's important just to have it in a central place where you can find it easily and, respond.
So you're sending an automated response that says basically, got your message, thank you.
Yep.
You'll hear from us soon. But then you're drafting a reply that sits in your Gmail inbox for you to send after you review it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And you could do, maybe you have somebody else who handles that. And so it could, BCC that team member. It really depends on how big your organization is, what it looks like. And then which rules you need to set up to respond to that person.
Yeah.
Like at Toki, do you have somebody whose job it is to respond to incoming? I'm sure you do, but is it a single person or multiple people?
It was a single person, and now it's about to be multiple people. We just hired somebody to do marketing. We have somebody who does sales. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so that could, that could triage into notifying those two people respectively,
Right.
depending on what they put in the contact form.
Well, I was just thinking about other uses for, AI in here. One of them could be figuring out who should it be sent to on a team, right? Is this
Yeah.
business partnerships?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Here, that would require AI because you have a drop-down menu that you're filling out. But, if it's an ordering thing, but you have like we do websites and we do branding and we do whatever.
Yeah.
So I could have it read what it's asking for and then make a call on who to send it to.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. If you didn't want to have that drop down, if you just wanted, if you didn't want that drop down in the form and have it be more fluid, yeah, you could use AI to do that. The one tricky thing is, I think for industries that might deal with like HIPAA compliance and things like that, probably not the best idea to use AI to read those messages.
Yes. Right.
Kind of depends.
I think you have to figure out what model you're using and how you're
Right.
controlling it. And
Yeah.
all the rest of that.
Exactly.
I think as the open source models that you can host yourself get better,
Mm-hmm.
you could probably have a self-contained AI that never lets the information out of their own environment.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Gemma 4 is pretty much there, certainly for something of what you're talking about. But I don't know.
That's Google's new.
Gemini 4?
No, it's not Gemini,
Gemma.
but it's
Gemma 4?
But Gemma is their open source model.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But
But I don't know I don't know hardware wise what it requires to run it. Do you have any idea?
yeah, I mean, you could get a reasonable answer on like an 8 gig of RAM machine. Like your M2 to M5 Mac should perform
okay.
very well if it's deployed locally on that. So
Yeah.
we're talking about Mac Mini.
Yeah.
It will be fine.
Yeah.
Well, is it Apple Silicon too?
Yes, oh yeah, it's M4.
Yeah.
I mean, the things are stupid cheap. I got it at Best Buy for like $400 or something.
Nice. Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was dumb.
Huh.
Like, yes.
That's great.
I will have one, thank you.
Yeah, but
It's light on storage space, but, we were starting the conversation earlier about, sort of the tech stack, so I have the NAS units here,
Mhm.
but they were up for, they needed to be replaced. So I replaced them, but they still ran fine, but they were just out of warranty and all the rest of that stuff. So I just took them home, I set up a rack at home, and I got these two Synologies in it.
Nice.
I crammed them with,
Yeah.
one of them is just crammed with, these 28 gig hard drives.
Okay.
So it's like 200 and something stupid amount of hard drive space.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Wow.
And then a Mac Mini sitting on top of it. It's like, it's kind of dumb, but it's fun.
it's very
Sure.
very very over.
Yeah.
It's over engineered, but
And I've not dived into the local, hosting local anything
Yeah.
yet. I'm not even sure if I will.
I don't know if I will or not either.
Yeah.
I find myself still using whatever the latest version of everything is, even though
Mm-hmm.
2 months ago, the previous version was fine.
Well, here, yeah, this is pretty much all I wanted to run through. Just,
And the forms, so you can just deploy those on, how do you put that on your website?
yeah, you can.
Frame or?
Yep. Share, embed.
Oh, yeah, script embed, okay.
Yep, it's a script embed.
Yeah, cool.
And so kind of the ethos I go by with AI, kind of once again, is you can see these AI steps are just doing small specific things. And then the rest are all just deterministic steps
Yeah.
and paths.
Yeah.
And then you'll notice that I didn't use agents. I just used their AI step just because it doesn't need to access the internet to work. But you certainly could build an agent that you just tell it, when you get this email or when you get this message, check if it's spam and respond. But if you're building within Zapier, that's going to use their agent usage is separate from their tasks, and so it's actually going to double up. So it'll use a task plus.
And an agent credit.
Yeah, they're what are they called? Like, it doesn't really matter, but yeah, they have a different name for their agent credit. So that's what I'd recommend, how to build something like this out. Thanks. Yeah. So I wanted to use this example because I feel like I can show you a bunch of their product offerings in one single workflow.
I think it's great.
Yeah, that is really slow.
Thanks. And yeah, if you'd like, this is a link to the video and PDF walkthrough. I just made an accompanying PDF that, it includes some of those scripts for the AI, or you can just copy and paste and so on.